squarish third man, and it's 2. Northwood, I think, was the game, a benefit game, where Kevin Shine, who's now one of the bowling coaches at the ECB, formerly of Hampshire and what have you, a ball slipped and he bowled a beamer at this guy, hit him on the head. And he wasn't slow, Kevin Shine, in his younger days. That's the straightest delivery. Also was trying to work that in the gap on the offside. Gets a thick inside edge. Ball sort of runs down the line of the cut strip, end of the over, 169 for 1. And he hit this guy full on the head. Just from hand, you know.
So a beamer?
Yeah, it was a beamer. And it was one of those where you thought, oh my gosh, the guy's going to die. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. And the bloke just sort of carried on and sort of rubbed his head and said, and we all said, look, you sure you're all right? We need to stop this. We need to. He said, no, we'll just carry on as normal. Wow. And he was all right.
It's incredible.
It was amazing. If ever there was somebody where you thought, oh my God, this is the, I want to be anywhere else but here right now. And he was fine. The guy was absolutely fine. Carried on batting for a few overs, got out, and we just carried on as if nothing had happened.
And he was in the bar later on as well.
Yeah.
In comes Will Beer. He's going to bowl his final over. Figures of 1 for 49. Sussex need a wicket. 189 for 1. Comes in and bowls to Markram, who's forward. Plays it to Briggs, who comes in from short extra cover to field. 3 men saving 1 on the offside, 2 on the leg. There's a sweeper on the cover boundary. Long off, long on, and a deep mid-wicket as Beer juggles the ball from hand to hand, comes in off this straight approach to the leg spinner, bowls and eased into the offside by Markram. He gets another single. He goes to 43 off 42 balls. Hampshire 170 for 1 here on BBC Sussex, BBC Radio Solent, 5 Live Sports Extra. A live commentary here from the Royal London One Day Cup. The cloud does seem to be building. Showers are forecast for later.
You're probably just wondering why I handed over some cash there.
Well, I was slightly worried. I wasn't going to say anything, Kev. In comes Beer and bowls, and also just turns this on the leg side. Beer has to chase back. And fields the ball at mid-on. Before Garton can get there, but it is a single. Also goes to 82.
No, just filling everybody in. I know you were looking at me thinking, why is he getting all his cash out? And there wasn't much. But Mike Payne from the club shop here, very kindly, got a Hampshire porter, Joe Somerton, who regularly tweets, who hasn't done actually so far. It was 50 the other week.
Beer in bowls and just played easily by Markram through square leg. Picks up a comfortable single. Now, there surely won't be 2 on this occasion. No, sorted quickly and prevents the second one. That's what he should have done in the previous over.
That's right. And Mike very kindly organised for me to get a Hampshire One Day shirt and write Joe, the first name, and 50 on the back. And that was me having just handed over the money.
I believe you.
For that.
Thousands wouldn't.
It's not because I'm putting a bet on the game.
172 for 1. Oh, Hampshire. In comes Beer and bowls, and down the wicket comes all sort of, and there's runs all around the ground here. They're going to think about 2 here. They'll be perhaps in. Oh, it's another misfield, and that's unusual. I mean, George Garton is a very fine fielder, and what prevented the second there, Kevin, was that he was just very quick to the ball because he is quick across the ground. But well, I just, you know, sometimes when you're fielding, if there is one mistake, one can lead to 2. And Sussex just, you know, they just haven't fielded well today.
Well, if Sussex were to lose this close, being a close game, I think Jason Gillespie might have something to say.
I think he will, definitely. In comes Beer over the wicket, bowls and turned by Markram to mid-wicket, fielded there by Finch. It's the end of the over, and that's the end of Will Beer's spell. 10 overs, no maidens, 1 for 53. They're decent enough figures, because if your 5 bowlers go for, you know, for 53, then it's, you know, there's about 260, 265, something like that. So I think he's done a good job for his skipper there, as Will Beer. But I think we have to say he put down Markram. I think he was on 26 at the time.
Yeah.
And I think Will Beer have been disappointed he didn't claim that caught and bowled. However, end of the over, 173 for 1. Also on 83, Markram on 44.
Yeah, and the one man out so far for Hampshire, Nyron Donald, who was caught by Salt. A really good catch.
Yep.
At deep square leg off Will Beer. Wasn't his best ball. He went for 41. Here's Danny Briggs then with his left arm spin. Who's almost yorked there, Allsop. He's been almost yorked a couple of times today. Will Beer got one under the bottom of the bat and maybe missed stump from Ben Brown, although it's difficult for a keeper to take. And Allsop almost did that again. Here's Briggs round the wicket to the left-hander. Length ball this time, and Allsop works that to mid-wicket, no run.
Just needs a bit of control here, Ben Brown. As I can see, Mir Hamza is warming up at short third man. That's an exaggerated warm-up. He needs to get up because here comes the ball.
Briggs bowls. Allsop drives in the air and just short a bit off, and again there's a misfield. Quite difficult, although he got half a hand on it, it still managed to go over the rope. And maybe there's another example of perhaps on another day that would have been stopped a little bit more cleanly. George Garton again.
Yeah, well, he's a fine fielder, George Garton, and he'll be really disappointed he didn't stop that. Just to stop it, you know, all right, they might get one, but prevent the boundary.
Sussex might be worried the fact that they've only taken one wicket at this stage, which is allowing Hampshire plenty of wickets in the bank as we get towards the latter part of their innings. 177 for one. Allsop is 87 not out here and works that to mid-wicket, no run.
Well, Hampshire from here, with what, 18 overs to go after this one, are looking at, I'd have thought, minimum 300 from 177 for one.
As long as it all goes right, that's for sure. That's a drive up to mid-off. Just a single. That's a 100-run partnership between these two. Allsop scored 52, the Markram 44, and that's come off 102 balls.
And a very fine partnership as well. You know, batted very sensible, as I say. I think Wilbury will be disappointed that he didn't dismiss Markram, but he just hasn't been at the racing day. Certainly, Jason Gillespie was saying after the win at Essex that Essex were the better side for much of that game. But Sussex got over the line, and that's a good thing from a Sussex point of view.
Well, it's always good when you win and you haven't played as well as you should. That's always a good benchmark. It's hit out to deep cover by Markram, who's quietly gone on to 45. I say quietly, but that's come off 46 deliveries. That's a sign of a good player when you can get to that total and nobody's really noticed. Allsop on 88, 179 for one. I'll do an update quickly, sorry, in about a minute or two's time for Solent listeners on the South Coast on all frequencies as you suddenly hear me burst into a quick summary.
Well, certainly at Chelmsford on Tuesday, Essex were going along really nicely. Tom Westley was playing very well, as was Dan Lawrence. Essex were 177 for two, so not dissimilar to this, and Ben Brown brought back David Visa, who picked up a couple of wickets. And it's amazing, I think, in this form of cricket how wickets do change things. So I don't know whether we're certainly going to see Hamza now. I just wonder whether Brown might turn to his sort of tried and tested seamers, pick up a couple of wickets, and it just changes the whole complexion of things. But at the minute, Hampshire are picking up runs rather too easily. Yeah,
I agree with you. Actually, you have to start bringing back your main bowlers here. You don't want them kept out of the attack for too long. Not in the position that Hampshire are in. Alex Wevel at Solent Sports says, from this position, I'm back in Hampshire to exactly match the 331 for 8 that they made against Gloucestershire on the same wicket. Great batting so far, he says.
Well, it certainly has been.
It's been a feature of Hampshire in this competition. Consistent batting, even when they've lost a couple of wickets from time to time in close proximity.
In comes Hamza, bowls to Markram, who plays that to mid-wicket, fielded there by Wilbury, and there is no run. So Ben Brown having to resort back to his quick bowlers. Good figures, Mir Hamza. His first 4 overs just cost 15 runs.
Just got to do an update in a moment.
Hamza is back to his mark.
And here's that update then, coming up right now. Well, Hampshire going along nicely here, 179 for one. We're in the 33rd over. Tom Allsop has 88. Aidan Markram has 45. They've just put on a 100-run partnership between these two, scored at just about a run a ball. The one man out so far, Aniran Donald, was out for 41. Live commentary right now via the BBC Sport website and app.
Oh. Well done, Kevin. 88 not out is Tom Allsop. He's going to take strike against Mir Hamza. Interesting, isn't it? And you know this, Kevin, having played the game at a high level, that just the body language in the field. Sussex just you kind of feel that they're not moving quickly between overs. They desperately need a wicket. As in comes Hamza bowls, that short cut away by Allsop. He might feel he's slightly missed out there because it was looking to be cut away through the covers. He did get it through the covers, but didn't time the ball particularly well, and Salt came running in from the cover boundary to field. One more to Allsop. He goes to 89 off 103 balls. And Hampshire to 181 for one here on BBC Sussex, BBC Radio Solent, 5 Live Sports Extra.
I think the Sussex fielding has just been You say you haven't seen this before in this competition?
I just think I think they fielded really well so far, but they just seem a bit off the pace today. In comes Hamza and bowls, clubbed away. That's a good shot. Nothing the fielder could do about that. That was too short from Hamza, and it was just hammered away through mid-off by Mockram. He goes to 50. And a really super innings as well. Perhaps should have been caught and bowled by Will Beer when he was on 26. Nonetheless, a very fine innings by Mockram. I'll give you his stats in a minute. I'm not sure if it's 50 or 50 balls, 50 or 49 balls.
Third time he's past half century in this competition. 88 against Middlesex and 88 against Surrey.
Very fine knock. Hamza comes in and bowls, and that's pulled on to the leg side. That's going to go for 6 runs, I think. No, it's not. He's just bounced twice and dribbled over the boundary at mid-wicket. And Ben Brown is desperately trying to find some control here for Sussex. Hampshire 189 for 1. Markram goes to 54.
If he has a weakness, it's over mid-wicket, Aidan Markram. In a championship game, I remember him holding out here against Yorkshire, I think it was, and against Surrey when he was going well in the 88. I mentioned he was caught at mid-wicket as well. It seems to be the one area. He does go aerial through that. If you have somebody out there at deep mid-wicket, they can be in the game when he's batting.
Hamza, final ball of his over bowls. And that's a good stop. That's a good bit of fielding by Danny Briggs. And that can buoy a fielding side. Diving away to his right hand side, prevented a run. It's the end of Mir Hamza's 5th over. 5 overs, no mates, 0 for 25. Hampshire 189 for 1. Allsop on 89. Markram on 54. I need to disappear and do an update, and I'll leave you with Kevin.
Thanks very much. Emily Windsor coming in alongside. 189 for 1. Danny Briggs aside, actually, for me. Maybe several of the Sussex fielders guilty of perhaps not being on top of their game. I think, Emily, that Danny Briggs probably is the standout fielder for the away side here.
Yeah, he's fielded well, sort of at backward point, isn't he, again with the seamers, but their ground fielding today hasn't been great, and that cost you a lot of runs in one-day cricket. Markram got dropped off. It was a hard chance, but off the bowling of Will Beer, and of a player of that class, you can't afford to drop him.
He's been in good form in this competition, as I've just mentioned. He's only with Hampshire until the end of the group matches, which is Sunday. They miss out on the last round on Tuesday. They'll have completed those games. Now, slog sweep by Allsop out on the leg side. Goes out towards deep mid-on, fielded by Visa. And Hampshire move on to 109. For 1. We're in the 34th over here at the Ageas Bowl.
Very straight slog sweep that was, wasn't it?
Certainly was. As Briggs comes in again. And Markram goes aerial over extra cover. That's 6.
That is massive as well. That's into the extra seating. That's for those that know the Ageas Bowl. That was over the first sort of blocks of seating. That's a fantastic cricket shot. One of the hardest in the game to hit over extra cover, and to hit over extra cover like that. Wow.
Certainly was. 60 runs Markram moves on to, and Hampshire move on to 196 for 1. Problems here for Sussex, as Hampshire have dominated this game so far, and I think they've just got to be a little bit careful here, Sussex. Wickets are certainly the order of the day if they want to try and keep the runs down now, because Hampshire have got 9 wickets in the bag.
Yeah, absolutely, and a fantastic middle order to come. Potentially in this situation, may Riley jump up the order and come in ahead of North East?
That's worked on the onside by Markram for a single. What would you do?
I think I'd send Riley up there and say go and play your shots, because then North East can come and rebuild if needed, if you lose a couple of quick ones. But I think give him Riley as much time as possible. He can take a game away completely from Sussex, really.
Driven down to mid-on by Allsop, moves on to 91, 198 for 1. I agree, actually, in North East, 100 against Kent in the first game, but hasn't quite matched that since. So Russo perhaps got 90 on Sunday again in that loss at Essex. He's still in decent form off the back foot there. Markram punches that up to mid-off. Again, Visa does the action, and actually went to throw it to Briggs, and the ball just for some reason came out of his hands. And again, that's sort of indicative of the fumbling and not the clean takes either in the air, apart from Garton, of course, who took that brilliant. Phil Salt took that brilliant catch. The rest hasn't been that clean in the field. Allsop drives up to mid-off, and that's the 200 up for Hampshire, and it's come at the end of the 34th over.
Yeah, and I think, like where I said about sending Riley up the order, it's not necessarily about Sam North being out and Nick or anything like that. Just the style of batter that he is. He tends to knock it about a little bit more than Riley, who looks to attack straight. If they're going well and don't lose a wicket, but to sort of 15 overs remaining, you'll potentially then later in the game.
Yeah, you don't want to see a little cameo from Riley Russo. He's a player that actually would keep that up for quite a long time. Some players are just over 4 or 5 overs at the end. Russo can play a cameo lasting 20, 25 overs, and you want to make the most of it.
So it's Mir Hamza from the pavilion end into Tom Allsop, and that's short, and he's worked that down to third man nicely. He'll move on to 93, score 201 for 1.
Yes, it's...
Was that given a no ball?
Oh.
It was.
Now, why is that?
Over.
Too high?
We'll see if it's a free hit or not. If it's not a free hit, then I guess it'll be because it was overhead height.
Yeah, I think it is a free hit, yeah. Well, Allsop's done well to sort of keep that down, cut shot down to a third man.
He hasn't signalled a free hit yet.
Has he not? No.
Yes, he has. So it must have been a front foot no ball.
Ah.
And Markram will be the man to face it. 203 for 1.
Field's going to change now, of course, because Markram has a licence to hit. Third man comes up, mid-off goes back.
No man at mid-wicket.
No, that's exactly where I was looking at as well. No deep mid-wicket.
That's hit hard straight down the ground. Ouch. Bowler gets his foot in the way. He seems to be okay, but they pick up a single. He hit that hard, didn't he? I think that was hitting the stumps, though.
Hamster's just walking back as if nothing's happened. I bet that must have hurt.
Unless it's hit
on the boot.
the padded bowling boots now. But that looked painful.
Oh. He's just walking back as if nothing's happened. I mean, that was virtually full on.
204 for 1. As Hamza turns at the top of his mark into Tom Allsop from the pavilion end. That's full. Again, that's a fantastic stop at backward point by Danny Briggs. That's what we've been talking about. Fantastic bit of fielding. Yet again from him, he's certainly setting the standards. 204 for 1.
Yeah, Danny Briggs has been the standout man in the field by a long way. That cover point position, he's really made his own.
He certainly has. And Hamza will continue from the pavilion end into Allsop. That's driven up to mid-off. They do take a quick single. For a minute I thought extra cover was cutting that off and he was in a little bit of trouble, but gets safely through in the end. Kev, hands on heads?
Well, I think Allsop half stopped, didn't he, just for a moment? I guess he wasn't sure. Maybe it wasn't as close to the field as I thought, but I think Allsop, just for one fraction of a second, thought maybe
extra cover was coming.
Maybe he got that wrong. It was comfortable in the end, though.
Allsop moves on to 94. Markram 63 not out. The man facing as Hamza comes in, and that's played into the offside. Will pick up a single. The cover sweeper does the fielding, and 206 for 1 the score.
Now the Wasp total at the bottom right, which is the sort of predicted score. It's 3:45 at the moment. Wow.
That is a big total. It
is. Even by Hampshire's batting standards this year, that's big.
Fantastic pitch, though.
It is a good one. Matt Walker at Sun Sports says should be a very big score coming.
Hamza bowls, and that's played back to the bowler. No run. I thought that was you then.
Is it my over?
No, it's my over. You're right, I'm wrong.
No, that's right. Surely another win on the cards, says Matt. Thank you very much. Hashtag one day champs. That's right, of course. Hampshire, the defending champions. I was just looking at Sussex's record in this competition over the last few years. It hasn't been particularly good, if I'm honest. The little chuckle, there's Adrian Harms off mic there, because he knows just how poor they've been. In fact, 5th is the best they've been in the 4 years of this competition.
Hamza into Allsop. The player missed. That hasn't missed a leg stump by Mark. Fantastic diving stop by the keeper. That just went through everyone. 206 for 1 the score. 35 overs gone, so the 15 overs remain. Mark 64 not out. Allsop 94 not out.
Emily Wynn will continue, and then aside her in comes from BBC Radio 5 Live, Henry Moran.
So listening on BBC Radio 5 Live, BBC Radio Solent, and BBC Sussex. Afternoon, Henry.
Hello, Ems, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Yourself?
Well, I'm all the better since the arrival of a huge jar of biscuits about 20 minutes or so ago.
And who bought you them?
Well, they're a very, very generous soul. Thank you. Because it's quite chilly up here.
It really is.
Up on this balcony. It almost has its own little microclimate. Up on our terrace above the hotel at the Ageas Bowl. And you say it's a very good pitch. They make it look like it's pretty happy batting out there at the moment.
Yeah, it's sort of been the standards of the pitch here all in all this one-day competition. They just look fantastic to bat on. A couple have been quite slow. I wouldn't necessarily say this is the quickest pitch, but it just looks comfortable to bat on. Fantastic outfield. So I still think, and I always say it, how one-day cricket is now. The team batting second, they're never out of the game. They've obviously got a strong batting lineup. Luke Wright, we know what he can do. So on a pitch like this, all it takes is sort of one person to go on and get a big score, and it could be a telling game.
Well, Luke Wright having hit that big score, and also Sussex having got that remarkable win against Essex last time out, that does give them confidence that no matter how far behind the 8 ball they may feel, that things can turn around and they can win from positions where you wouldn't have thought it possible. So they're by no means be feeling out of this game, but they will be wary of this partnership, which sees Allsop, as I lean around the corner to see the scoreboard, on 94 and Markram on 64, almost. Well, he's going ahead of a runner ball now. He's accelerated in the last few overs or so, and we're going to see the return into the bowling fray of Sekande, who has bowled with good pace, but pace has been quite advantageous to the batsman so far, with ball coming onto bat and quick outfield. And then it has to be said, some slightly ineffective Sussex fielding. It hasn't by any stretch of the imagination been the finest displayed.
No, other than that catch out in the deep by Phil Salt and potentially Danny Briggs at backward point, I think it's been probably pretty average. They know that they can do a lot better, but these last 15 overs are really important. They have a chance to pull it back, and if they finish with their standards high, then there is a total that Sussex can chase.
Oh, Sekande turns at the end of his mark. He's got the bleach blonde hair, and he's charging you with the long sleeves to the right-handed Markram, who waits, and it's short, and it goes through to the keeper, and a little glance up from Markram to say, well, is that overhead height? Am I going to get lucky and see you stretch those arms out to signal the wide? But that's not the case. So it's a dot ball to start this over, which is the 36th of the innings. And of course, this is a Sussex bowling lineup without the spearhead attack of Chris Jordan and Jofra Archer. And during the interval on 5 Live Sports Extra, I'll point you in the direction in just a moment as Sekande comes in to bowl, and this is played off the back foot and pushed into the offside, but there's a fielder waiting at short extra cover, and it's picked up by Finch, who crouches down and tosses the ball back to the bowler. Yeah, during the interval we're going to take you on a trip to Barbados, where Simon Mann has been speaking to various people who've known Jofra Archer in his early days, and as it looks reasonably likely that he's going to make his England bow tomorrow in the one-day international between Ireland and England. Find out a little bit more about him. That's coming up in the interval on 5 Live Sports Extra. Here comes Sakande, right arm over, and this is outside the off-stump and cracked away, and it's going to be 4. It races to the ropes and thuds into a white advertising hoarding over to our left-hand side. It was there to be hit, and it was dispatched. 210 for 1. Markram's on to 68.
Yeah, you can't bowl there to him. He's a fantastic cricketer. He's been a fantastic asset for Hampshire, and some of the shots we've seen today, especially hitting over extra cover for 6, have been fantastic.
He waits with his slightly open stance now, and sees Sakande coming into bowl 2 here. Again, it's outside the off stump this time. Goes a little bit closer to the man on the cover boundary. He'll pick up, so it's just going to be a single to move that score onto 211 for 1. And it all looks pretty relaxed, easy going for those Hampshire batsmen at the moment, and the home crowd are enjoying what they're seeing as well, particularly in the absence of James Vince. Seeing the top order succeeding as they are will be heartening ahead of a period of time without their talisman and skipper. Here comes Sakande into the left-handed Allsop, who waits and hits the ball firmly into the ground. It's going to head towards the deep cover boundary. It won't be a 4, but it will be a couple more as he inches closer to a century. He's now just 4 runs away from it. 96 for him. 213 for 1 is the score. How many balls left this over? Just the 1 ball left of the over, so he'll be thinking, where is that boundary option? Can I get to that 100?
Do you think batters that obviously got a few one-day hundreds, they still get the nervous 90s? We were having this discussion the other day.
It's a good question. I reckon a lot will be context and recent form. If you're getting loads of them, here comes Sakande. He's on 96. Allsop, he waits, he's driving, he won't get the 4 there. It's just going to dribble its way out to the cover point boundary. There could be trouble as the throw comes in, and then the keeper tosses it down towards the stumps and misses. And he was scrambling. He's on to 98.
A better throw there, and he could have been in trouble.
That could have been ugly. 215 for 1. 36 overs have been bowled. It's a very good question, Emily, because I imagine if you've not scored 100 for a little while and you think you might be under a bit of pressure, then I've never been in that position, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I just think, like, obviously, it's you still get that, even if you get 99, and then someone sees 100, it just looks at so much better. Yeah.